Tuesday morning. It is VO2 testing today. Had a good sleep last night, no exercise this morning. I'm feeling a little nervous, a little apprehensive about what today's going to entail. It's I've never done VO2 testing before, so the whole procedure's it's going to be pretty interesting. I've seen other people do it like in vlogs and YouTube and stuff like that, and I was sitting here now. I just had some breakfast about 45 minutes ago, so just one big main meal, 3 hours out, about 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours out. I have another like carb-based snack, and then 30 minutes out, probably a gel, bit of water in between as well. I was just sitting here and I know like the basics, and I'm still learning as I go sort of thing, so it's pretty cool to do these different like experiments and just get the data exactly and metrics of what's going on with my body, and how we can use that to utilize my training for UTA100. And I was like, VO2's testing is like the volumetric efficiency of how your body uses oxygen, but I was like, I'm just gonna ask chat. So I went on ChatGPT, and this is a good rundown, like a good summary. It's a little just an overview of what VO2 testing is, and the purpose of the VO2 testing is to measure the maximum amount of oxygen your body can utilize during intense exercise. It's considered the gold standard for assessing cardiovascular fitness and aerobic endurance. Key purposes are to measure aerobic capacity, shows how your body uses oxygen during exercise. The higher your VO2 max, the fitter you are. Personalized training zones, so we'll be able to identify the different training zones and set my watch up a bit better for that. So provides data to set accurate heart rate zones, helping you train smarter. Track performance improvements, so I guess if I do this test again at a later point, we can see where I was at and where I am. So it gives this week a one to give me just like a base of where I'm currently at. Optimize fat versus carb burning, so with a metabolic test, the test can show what fuel your body is using at different intensities, valuable for endurance athletes. Identifying limitations can help determine your performance is limited more by cardiovascular, muscular, or pulmonary systems. Support race pacing and nutrition, data like ventilatory thresholds, which we will determine today, and fat max can inform how to pace your efforts and fuel during longer races. So that'll definitely be handy, like having a bit more of a plan on race day for how I fuel myself. So yeah, it'll be good. Heading over to UpnAdam, so that's where I do my strength-based training at the moment with Clarke. The guy Lucas, he's from Flowitri, a local coach who he specializes in triathlon training. He's a savage in his own element, and he runs the VO2 testing out of that same facility. So gonna head over there soon. It's gonna push me, I know, like definitely it'll be, so there's blocks of 3 minute intervals, so 10 blocks every 3 minutes, up to 30 minutes, that'll hit the threshold, and then from there it's 1 to 5 more steps from there, depending how I go. So I'm excited to capture this and share it with you all, and see what comes out of it. It'll be interesting to see the results, so let's go.
Oh yeah, pump it up, yeah, pump it up.
here with Lucas Macbeth. We're doing VO2 testing today. Macbeth, that's a very Scottish name.
It is, very, very Scottish.
Lucas is from Flowitri, local triathlon training, I guess you'd call it, here in the Newcastle area. Tell me a little bit about Flowitri and just what we're doing today.
Flowitri is that we are a triathlon and run coaching business located here in Newcastle. Is that we have athletes all over Australia now. Is that we're 70 strong, working predominantly online, and we also have squad sessions here in Newcastle. Is that we're delving further into the metabolic space with VO2 testing. Is that our vision or philosophy is that we want athletes to get to race day knowing they've done everything possible, and so leaving no stone unturned per se, and so that's the whole goal. Is so knowing what you can do, but more importantly knowing what you can't do, and tying that through everything to do with triathlon, from aerodynamics to metabolic testing to training methodology and physiology. And that's our business in a nutshell, mate. Is that letting athletes like yourself explore
the limits,
explore that potential.
Unreal. And the VO2 testing, obviously training for UTA100, so that's a bit of an endurance event. And how's the metrics of today going to benefit me with my training and strategy and planning going forward? Obviously myself, I'm linking with Clarke downstairs, so with a bit more of a strength and a bit of a race plan.
It'll be wonderful for you. Is that if you see in the background here, is that the VO2 test will enable you to have VT1 and VT2, so your thresholds, particularly in being able to line those up with heart rate. So for UTA is that you'll be able to know when to walk or when to slow down and when to fuel, particularly. Is that those metrics all come across after VO2 testing. And so knowing that, for example, if VT1 is 145 for you, is that you know is that if you're running uphill and you start getting close to 145, it's time to back off and walk, so we don't jump into zone 3 and start using glycogen and start chewing up our stores for later in the race.
Love it. Nice. Let's get into it.
You got to work. So this is the report that you get at the end, obviously post-testing. Is that we've got sort of two sides: maximal metrics, which is self-explanatory. These are the maximum speed that we get to. The VO2 Max, which we talk about in terms of interventions. Max heart rate. Ventilation, which is litres per minute, which is a correlation between tidal volume, which is the size of the amount of air coming into our lungs, versus how many times we breathe. And so that times that will equal that, give or take. That's great for retrospective, to be able to go, that's a snapshot of here and now. And then if we do an intervention and then come back, then we start marrying up these against our new data to be able to go, if we're doing a VO2 max, did we push it up, did it come down, for example? If we're working on trying to increase tidal volume, so on and so forth. These are the ones that for you will be a really good snapshot for UTA in terms of baseline metrics to be able to go, this is what I can run the hills at without tapping into zone 3, high glycogen, high calorie output, to be able to go, this is where my limit is. And also, if we want the top end to be able to go, this is VT2, this is where we start producing too much lactate, start eating really serious calories. But also, high-end fatigue will come if we start dancing up around here.
With like the endurance stuff, you can still go into those zones, you just want to be cautious of how long.
You want to be cautious, particularly for someone of your calibre, is that you'll spend a lot of this time. So this is my report for transparency, and so for me...
Oh, this is your metrics.
My metrics, and so for me, for UTA, for example, is that I wouldn't want to go over 140 at any given time. Purely because I haven't done quite enough work to justify going up into here. But with you, is that you might be able to play in between, so this is technically zone 3, in between here. We don't want to go near here until way late in the race. But we'll talk about that later with your data. So what we get with VT1, VT2, VT standing for ventilatory threshold, and so this VT1 is really hard to capture in the field. VT2 we can capture in the field by doing a hard 10 to 12k. And you'll find that your heart rate comes up and it'll teeter and hold that line, and if you push harder your body will go, no, come back. And you'll find that spot. And so what we end up is that what we look for in terms of discrepancies between VT1 and VT2 is that our data can tell us what best intervention we require for our physiology.
Yep.
So this one for me, for example, is that anything wider than 10% between VT1 and VT2, and so if we're using 160 for round maths, 10% is 16. If I take 16 off 157, I get 141, and so I'm right on that 10% cusp. What that tells me as a coach is that I need to improve my base aerobic fitness, and so I need to push this number closer to this number. And so I'd go away and do a 12 to 16 week, even a 6-month intervention, just really trying to target VT1, and then I'd hope to come back and retest and have this at 148 or 149, 150. This number doesn't change all that much. This one is super adaptable, and that's the one that we target, particularly with aerobic work. So we end up with fairly precise heart rate zones, and so if I know if I want to do zone 3 work, I have to hold it between 140 and 150. Same thing, zone 4 work is closer to 157, that threshold. If I want to do VO2 work, I know I have to get my heart rate over 160 or it's not going to elicit the response that I want. And so if I go out and I'm doing hard intervals but I'm getting to 155, it's not training VO2, it's training threshold. And so we start to see what this is in terms of what we're looking for. In part of the test, the best part that the data is quite clear is that this looks kind of funky, but once you know what you're looking for, it's actually quite precise in watching. And so if we look at the gold line, this is tidal volume, so this is my breathing pattern. And so you'll see here that I've got really quite long controlled breathing through up until VT1. Levels out, and then I can try to hold my breathing pattern, and then I'll lose it, and then it peters out. And you'll see here the blue line increases as I go. And so this is respiratory frequency, so how many breaths I'm taking, how much oxygen I'm taking in. So as I'm crossing lines, they become an inverse relationship. And you can see here when I switch over to double breathing, really short. So tempo, aerobic, over. And so we really start to see, and the same, wrong screen, this is the screen that moves.
Super accurate, like right on VT2, it's like where you can see the correlation where it crosses over.
Yeah, precise. And the same thing, you'll see this is VO2, is that it'll trend up, and then it'll trend across, and then once we cross it'll start to trend down. And so that's the beautiful thing about the data, is that it's really easy just to start picking it apart, and you'll see the same thing. Trending down, so this is expired air, oxygen, trending up, and so we'll notice all of those sweet spots that we have. And so we'll go through all of this with you. We used an SMO2, so an oxygen meter with me at this one as well, which is quite interesting. That's another test all in itself. So, that being said, what we're looking for you particularly, VT1, VT2, and then hopefully VO2 on the other side, depending how deep you want to go into the well. We call it voluntary exhaustion.
Voluntarily tapping out.
Enough. Questions?
No, I mean, like, I read through your email and obviously just segments up the first half hour, 3-minute intervals, just keeps going.
So we're going to start relatively gentle with you. We're going to start at plus 6-minute Ks, and then we're going to work up in 0.3, hoping for, I want to see 10 to 12 before we get to hopefully VT2. And so with your low heart rate, so hopefully you won't cross over what we had at threshold sort of 150 until on the other side half an hour. And then we just keep ticking it up until we pop. Until we pop. Or until you voluntarily feel like you're exhausted and can't go any further.
Yeah, I love it.
Alright, ready to go to work?
Let's do it.
So what we're going to do now is the 6. And starting to jog on the next 8. He's nervous. How's it feel?
Yeah, good, doesn't shake too much or anything.
Yeah, it's not too restrictive. Okay, if you want to get your camera set up, we'll wave it up. That was the crossover from zone 1 to zone 2. There you go. At a 4, 45, 4. Good. 3, 2, 1. 6.9, 530s. That's sweet. So we're doing that push on the out place. 10 seconds. I reckon you've come up to a 5. 4.5. 3, 2, 1. 520s. Yeah, so just with photos. Good job, Andy. Phew. 3, 2, 1. Jump in. Alright, now we're moving 430s. Here we go. 8 now. Yeah, mate, stay relaxed. On there. Okay. 30 seconds here. You blow it up today, mate. Doing well.
Yeah, going well, buddy. Keep going, man.
Great data set at the moment, mate. Great data. We're up in 10.
Come on, mate.
2, 1. Seeing these deep breaths where you're like, never go. What we'll see on the next 180 up with the heart rate top. One minute left here. Hang on now, hang on now. We're going to keep going until we get double breathing. We're teetering around it at the moment. Here we go. Up in 10. Bye-bye. left here. Closing in on a 10. Yep, can't talk. Got one more in you. Alright. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Got 2 minutes left after this one, man. 2 minutes left. Close out. Yeah, man. Brilliant. Right, coming back to a walk. 3, 2, 1. Not allowed to go over an hour on the test, so we...
Lucas is getting worried. He's down here like, I'm getting the weight missed out. Put this on.
Put the incline up on you.
Well done, Andy. I'll chat to you later, man. Awesome, bud.
Okay.
I'll see you later on, big fella.
Copy that.
Get my track.
That one for me, let's get your watch on. Just wait, hold that one. Okay. You can wipe your schnoz in a second's time. It's always full.
Oh,
That was impressive, mate.
thank you.
Very impressive.
The whole body just starts going, like.
You spent a long time teetering between 170 and 180. It's impressive. It's impressive. Number 7.
It feels like the steps go for ages, You're like, come on.
You start looking
I'm
at
like, I can go faster, but it's like, can we just go faster right now? 3 minutes is a long time.
Pace we got down to 15, so we're at 4s there at the end. VO2, that's the true VO2 Max, is that we did get higher than that, but briefly for time periods.
Yep.
Max heart rate was huge, and so in the pre-interview you said you don't see it over 168, and so we're 10 beats higher than that, to the point where VT2 is pretty high above that as well. So if we look at the graphs, we'll go to this one, ventilation frequency. So the blue line is our breathing patterns, the gold line is tidal volume, and then the inverse relationship to that. So you can see here, so offsetting 140 heart rate with 170 heart rate with high heart rate. And so being able to hit a zone 5, zone 3, zone 1 model, because at the moment we've been doing huge amounts of zone 2, zone 3.
Yeah.
Not a lot of zone 4, because as you can see, whoops, back on this one here. So zone 1, zone 2, this is all zone 3 work. This is where I would suggest that all of your training's been doing. Mm-hmm. Zone 4 is this really short window here.
Holy dooly. That was something else. I tell you what, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's been a couple of hours now since I finished the VO2 testing. It was good to get it done. I feel pretty mentally and physically fatigued. Definitely pushed my mind and body to its limit. I'm surprised at how like mentally fatigued I feel. Like I went and helped someone shoot some content like afterwards, and just trying to think through that, I was just like pretty gassed, but I knew that was going to be part of the process. Could have been a little bit better with my nutrition post it. I think it was probably a bit of a delay in terms of getting food back into the body. In terms of like the process itself, it was really interesting just to see how far out I was, and like you definitely see the different training zones of like where I'm excelling and where I should be. I think there'll be some big key takeaways from that, and it'll be good to just really tweak my training a bit more. Clarke was there for a fair bit of it, watching it, which was super cool. So him and Lucas, definitely guys, I think it's just really just being around guys that are passionate about it, and it's cool to actually quantify like where people are at and be able to structure both the training plan and the nutrition a lot better. So definitely sleep well tonight. Pretty keen to get this video up, and I saw a little bit of the footage from today and it looks mint, so yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Yeah, let's go baby.